Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning LaLa, and I'm so excited to welcome Focus TV family member Brent Hoebel to the show. He is the creator of the 20-Minute Body, Women Warrior, Sweating with Soul. I am just so excited for the journey and opportunity you have given to so many men and women.
Thank you.
You are transforming people's lives. Healthy, wealthy, this one.
So tell us a little bit about the Women Warrior, because obviously in this movement, what inspired you?
It was interesting. I just had this conversation with a friend of mine who went through one of my test groups when I did an infomercial for Beachbody, and she said, you know, it's so interesting. You're so committed to bringing out these stories, but they're for women. Do you think about that? And I started reflecting. I was adopted at a very young age, but I grew up with all women in the family. 2 older sisters, mom, my dad was there, but I did have a lot of female influence, and I went through a lot of struggles. So when I was thinking about this, it wasn't about the clothing for the clothing line. It was, I am interested and committed to telling stories of how people turn their pain into purpose. And I was hearing a lot from my girlfriend at the time and a lot of her friends that worked at KTLA-5. We were just started having these discussions, but more and more and more kept coming out. And the one compliment I really liked from them was, you hold space for us to be able to do this. It was like really interesting to hear them say it in those terms of just your energy and presence and the way that you're coming forth with part of your story first. You're holding space so that I feel comfortable doing this. And it really turned into a bigger thing. And now it's the campaign, the Woman Warrior campaign for Sweat with Soul right now. But it is really, it's not about the clothing. It is about getting these stories of turning pain into purpose. And I think it's therapy for everybody, for the person telling it, for listening it. I have learned a lot hearing it from, some of these incredible stories in women.
What are some of those, some of the themes that you have sort of discovered in the process? What have you learned?
Just that vulnerability is key. That's just it sounds so easy, but it's not. It's like a lot of times you got to swallow your ego, you got to do a lot of things, swallow your pride, or whatever story you're wrapping around that. But it takes a level of emotional intelligence and commitment to become vulnerable and kind of speak your truth. And
hashtag love sweat evolve, right?
Yes, yes. And that it's interesting to see that's a reciprocal relationship. If you're holding space for someone to do that, it comes out and vice versa. It's a really interesting relationship that I'm not really a behind the camera type of person, but it was a great experience learning that and just continually sharing myself. So what ended up happening, we were doing these in the beginning and I wasn't mic'd. And they were like, dude, you should be mic'd. And that's when we actually approached you guys and said, we'd like to do this potentially as a show. I was not intending on being on the talking end, but it really worked out.
Oh, it's perfect. Well, we love it.
So tell us about the show. Tell us about the intention and what people can expect.
Sure. Right now, the show is Sweat with Soul, but we're focusing on woman warriors. We're taking notable women that I think a lot of people may judge a book by its cover and say, oh, they're successful, they're pretty, they're this, they're that. They couldn't have had a struggle. And then they're going to be like, holy cow, that is from people telling for the first time they had a miscarriage. People telling about childhood abuse, just stuff. But then when you hear the lessons that are coming out, and even if it's not this factual lesson that you yourself are going to implement on Monday, their vulnerability is so crystal clear. It's like, that's love, that's commitment, that is what I personally want to aspire to do as well in all my relationships.
And it's self-love and self-commitment, right? And a deeper level of sort of unconditional confidence that comes from that.
It really is, and I, as a coach, trainer, and someone who is 50 pounds overweight, went through a lot of body dysmorphia and eating disorders as a kid, to tell a lot of my clients, particularly women, to look in the mirror and love yourself, that is not an easy thing to do. I've struggled with it still today because I went through this abusive relationship in my head about what I look like and a lot of things. So I understand how difficult that is, but in these interviews, it's not about this looking in and loving yourself because of your body. It's more of just to build that strength from the inside out. You got to start by looking in the mirror, or thinking about things that happened and actually digging a little deeper. So one thing that I really love that Andy actually said in the interviews as I was doing these, he said, you know, you really listen. You're asking questions that aren't necessarily on the script, but you're really listening. And because I'm in it, I'm like, I'm so appreciative that they're giving this information, because when you listen to it, people are going to have the impetus to change, I believe.
I just love that.
Well, tell people, obviously, you can tune in at Focus TV. Where can they find you? And
Sure. You can tune in at Focus TV here, of course, but the brand is called Sweat with Soul. So on Instagram, sweatwithsoul.com, we have a blog now. So every woman warrior that we interview, we now have a short clip and the full 20-minute interview that is on our blog at sweatwithsoul.com. So it really highlights the woman's story and how she turned her pain into purpose.
And you brought some of the activewear with you today.
Yeah, all right. Today I'm going to do a shameless plug. But it's all also part of giving gifts, and I'm really proud of what we stand for the company and the level of detail that we've gone into. Because you guys are fashionistas, so I have to represent. Okay, we're going to start off with the lids. So this was we teamed up with Susan G. Komen for breast cancer research and Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So this is a woman warrior.
That's so
and
cool.
This is our tank top. And I love the sort of the tribal print, but you got to just check out. Please open this and feel the fabric.
love it.
Feel the fabric.
Now, I know that you are a mama, and you're a mama warrior, so we're gonna rock.
I love it.
This is our love period.
Cool.
So wait a minute. This is not just about love, it's love period.
Love period.
Come on, baby.
Love that.
And I am starting my period. Just kidding.
Oh! Now,
this is awesome.
my favorite. This is the more of a baseball,
Super cool.
full-fitted, a little bit of wool in there. I think you're gonna like it.
Oh my gosh, it feels so good.
They are great.
Yes, I'm
So with the guys, I wanted it pre-washed. I wanted a garment dye. Feel how you're gonna
Oh man, that's
Feels
awesome.
amazing.
It's soft.
really soft.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel like Varvatos putting it on.
Oh, there you go.
So everything. That's how.
Appreciate
That's
that.
what I felt.
Sign me up.
I remember
Super cool.
putting this on and being like, we do a garment dye, a bunch of process to it. That's a Sweat with Soul.
Wow.
V-neck, worn in. It's good stuff.
Super cool, brother.
I have to be on my game with these fashionistas, ladies and gentlemen.
You are.
Great job.
Thank you.
Really.
Like the long
I
sleeve,
love it. I love it.
the gold,
It's winter coming.
and you got a nice
Gonna
little
sweat it
tank.
out.
Woman warrior
'Cause I know
right
you-
here.
Ba-boom.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So
You're
excited
welcome.
for the adventure. Stay
All right.
tuned. We'll be right back.